Welcome to the Word for 2021. Today we're in Exodus chapter 27. Now chapters 25, 26, and 27 all deal with God giving instruction on how to prepare the tabernacle, how it is to be built, what articles are to be in the tabernacle. Now God is describing the tabernacle differently than we would ever describe something. As we were entering the tabernacle, that's the way that we would talk about it. We would talk about first coming towards the tabernacle. We would talk probably about the 7-foot high fence made out of curtains. Then we would have the entrance that we would describe. Coming through that entrance, we would see the courtyards, and then we would see the tabernacle, the holy place, and then the most holy place. God does it the exact opposite. He first talks about the tabernacle. He talks first about the most holy place. He talks about the Ark of the Covenant. He talks about the veil that is separating the holy place from the most holy place. Then he talks about the lampstand and the table of showbread. Then he talks about the courtyard and the altar, and then the entrance into the tabernacle. Our perspective is coming to God. As God is describing how to build the tabernacle, he's talking about where he is at and then coming to the people. As we're reading chapter 27, I want you to notice verse 16. It says that there is only one entrance into the tabernacle. There's only one way that you can enter. You can't come in a back door. There's only one way to enter the courtyard. And the first thing that you come in contact with when you enter the courtyard is the altar. What does that tell us? It says that we cannot come into God's presence without an offering. There has to be a sacrifice. There has to be a blood sacrifice. There has to be a substitute. In other words, you cannot come into God's presence on your own. You have to have a blood sacrifice. You have to have your sin dealt with before you can come into God's presence. Now, Jesus is both the door and the sacrifice. The tabernacle, there is a lot of symbolism there. It's an object lesson for the people as well. The door, Jesus said, is himself. John 11:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus is the door. He's also the perfect sacrifice. Listen to what Hebrews chapter 9 tells us, verses 11 through 14. When Christ came as high priest of the good things that are already here, he went through the greater and more perfect tabernacle that is not man-made, that is to say, not a part of this creation. He did not enter by means of the blood of goats or calves, but he entered the most holy place once for all by his own blood, having obtained eternal redemption. The blood of goats and bulls and the ashes of a heifer sprinkled on those who are ceremonially unclean sanctify them so that they are outwardly clean. How much more then will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself unblemished to God, cleanse our consciences from acts that lead to death, so that we may serve the living God. Jesus is both the door and the perfect sacrifice. Again, when you come into the courtyard, the first thing that you see is that bronze altar. Altar in Hebrew simply means a place of slaughter. And on that bronze altar, there are 4 horns on each corner. Horns were symbols of strength. Blood was to be put on each of those horns on the corners of the altar. Blood, when it's put on those horns, shows that the power of the blood has the ability to atone for the sin of the people. In Luke chapter 1, verses 68 and 69, Zechariah is prophesying, and this is what he says. Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, because he has come and redeemed his people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of David. Jesus is our horn of salvation. It is his blood that atones for our sin. The tabernacle, once again, is both a symbol and it's something that the people were to understand all the different aspects of how to come into God's presence. For the tabernacle, it was a message of hope that God is with them, that God is approachable, and that sin is forgiven. It's also a message for us. It's an object lesson where Jesus is the door to God. He is our perfect sacrifice, and he is the only way to God. The tabernacle, it's actually all about Jesus. Thank you for joining the Word for 2021.